Lucky, lucky, lucky me. Oh.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Wellness Global and the I Am the Brand Business Accelerator interview series. We're so glad you're here. We want to serve you and help you grow your holistic business to the levels that you imagine for 2024. And today we're going to talk with Alison Proffit, and she's going to help you do just that. Welcome, Alison.
Hi, Valerie. Thanks for having me today.
We're so thrilled to have you, and I've enjoyed getting to know you a little bit before we started recording. So now let's let the viewers find out a little bit more about you. Tell us all about Alison.
Oh my gosh. Do you have 3 hours? Because it's usually really hard to do it in a 15-minute little snippet. But that's what we try to do in the business world, isn't it? We just try to shove it all in. So my name is Alison Proffit. My business is Proffit Coach, but I'm more than just my business. I am a whole human being. And I, just from a location perspective, I'm in Fort Collins, Colorado, so northern part of Colorado. I'm originally from the East Coast, though, so we were chatting a little bit about Roanoke, Virginia, and Valerie, you were like, "Oh, people don't know where that is." Like, "Oh, I know where that is." So originally from the East Coast, and I actually spent a lot of my career in human resources, and so I have a lot of business knowledge and experience from that almost 2 decades in that world. And then in 2016, I decided to move into becoming certified as a coach, even though I'd been coaching for my whole career in some format or another. I decided to pursue a coaching certification, and I wanted to move into leadership and executive level coaching and leadership development. And that was always the part of the HR work that I loved. Of course, I was competent at all the other things as well. But I really loved the leadership development and the ability to just ask some powerful questions and share observations and get people to think about things in a different way. And for some reason, partly because I have ADHD, I was diagnosed later in my life, and it made everything make so much more sense. But I've always really had this knack of seeing things that other people aren't seeing or even saying. And so that, I think, is one of the things that makes me a really great coach, is just I ask great questions and I have this ability to see things that seem very disparate and bring them together. So I wanted to move into that space. I went through this coaching program and I went to get a piece of paper, but it changed my whole life. I didn't realize that I was wearing different masks in different areas of my life. When you work in human resources, you have to kind of be very neutral and unbiased, and you don't have a lot of friends at work because you're the HR person, you know. And I just found that I was like this different person in all the areas of my life, and that coaching program was really profound and life-changing. And 3 weeks after it ended, I ended up getting fired from my HR job unexpectedly. Yeah, so that was back in January 2017, and I started my business that I run now, which is called Proffit Coach. That's like my real last name. I didn't change it to be catchy for my business because I am a business and leadership coach is what I do now. But I started Proffit Coach in October 2019, and between the time I lost that job and finished my coaching certification in January 2017, and when I started Proffit Coach, I moved 9 times, was fired from 4 jobs, tried to start my business 4 times, changed careers twice, and went through a divorce. So we'll just let that sink in for like a minute. That's a lot of things. And the various iterations of starting my business, they were all in the realm of coaching, but kind of serving different audiences. I was just trying to find like what did I want to be doing? I really just found that I had this passion of wanting to serve and help people and leverage my own experiences, both professionally and personally, and just kind of trying it out. So I went down the just like success coaching realm. I tried to coach leaders. I went down the realm of like working specifically with HR people. And, you know, as we do as business owners, we're just like trying different things on for size, right? I mean, even in the wellness business, right? People add different certifications, and eventually you have to realize that like you can stop taking lots of more certifications, like just like you have it all right inside of you. The one of the most profound things that really shifted the everything in my own business was the second career change that I had in that window of time was a sales job that I didn't really pursue. It kind of found me. I was trying to leave my marriage at the time and I was unemployed. I didn't have any money. I didn't have a car. I didn't know anybody here in Colorado. It was just sort of this situation where it felt like I had nothing and I just needed something to kind of get me to the next chapter. And this sales job that I took at Constant Contact taught me how to sell, which is really why my businesses up to that point failed because I didn't really know how to make sales, or at least enough sales to keep me afloat enough to not have to get a job. And then it also taught me a lot about marketing and digital marketing, in particular email marketing. I think social media is great, but I actually think email marketing is really, really important. How many people do you come across who like all of a sudden their social media got hacked and they're locked out of their account and that's like their whole business? And that's a really scary thing. So your email list is a critical piece of your business. And I didn't really know that until I worked at Constant Contact. So it's definitely a thing that continued to be a passion for me. And when I started Profit Coach initially, I just started doing email marketing strategy consulting. That was really what the sales job was at Constant Contact, was helping people develop that and then help them see how they could use those tools to implement the strategy we developed. And when I started Profit Coach, I had no website, no business cards. I had $200 to my name because there were some other like personal things that had happened at that point that put me in that kind of financial situation. I had like spent a lot of money to move and start a different business that fell apart with a friend. And I closed 3 sales in the first month. And I was like, clearly the missing ingredient was knowing how to sell and doing it from this like very heart-centered place. So when I was doing sales at Constant Contact, I would literally get on with a business owner or a nonprofit or somebody that was going to be a blogger or podcaster or something. And you could just hear the stress and overwhelm in their voice. And I would be like, you know what? Why don't we just like close our eyes and take some breaths and just like a quick visioning exercise, which is not what they teach in the sales process there. But I was able to take what they taught me about sales conversations and then integrate all the other things and who I was. And it was really fun. And so my sales calls were long, but I really formed deep relationships with my clients. And so when I started Profit Coach and initially started doing the email marketing and closed 3 sales right away, a lot of those clients already had a list, they already had a business. And when I asked them what their goals were, often it was they wanted to increase their revenue. And so that would, for me, it was like, well, like, let's talk about your pricing strategy and like, let's talk about sales conversations. And both of those topics, these successful business owners would get very constricted around. And I realized that that used to be me until I got like really good and comfortable around how to have sales conversations and how to convey both tangible and intangible values, which I think in the wellness community, a lot of it is intangible benefits that people are reaping. And as business owners, you have to really know, how do you talk about that? So I very quickly pivoted my business in the direction of focusing a lot on sales coaching. And there's so much mindset stuff around it, not just around the confidence of having the conversation and knowing what to say and how to say it without it being super prescribed, like still being authentic and heart-centered and very service-oriented. But then also really doing the work around the money mindset stuff and then giving the tangible tools, right? I mean, my background in HR dictates that I'm never just a coach. Like I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, I'm a cheerleader, I am a consultant. Like sometimes with my clients, I'll be like, you know what, you're struggling with this Canva thing. I'm going to just go make it for you. Okay. Here you go. And so I really just started to serve people the way that I had wanted to be served in all the other iterations of my business. And I realized that when I started Profit Coach, because of my ADHD, I needed things to be very simple. And I also needed it to be joyful for me, because if I'm not happy and excited about what I'm doing, I'm just not going to do it. And like no goal is going to motivate me to like do the thing I don't want to do. It's just like that executive functioning piece just is hard for me. So that's where joy is the best business strategy really came from. And that's my tagline. And that's a very philosophical thing that I integrate into everything that I do with my clients. And so we have to feel joyful about selling, right? And we want to feel joyful about our prices. And I like to say that like your business is a piece of you, right? It's like a part of your soul. You're pouring yourself into this thing, and then people are getting pieces of your soul in a good way, right? Like it's your gifts and your talents that God's put in you. And I've really kind of evolved into integrating a lot of faith into what I do as well. And so yeah, that's like a lot of different pieces. There's so many more pieces to my story. I'm also a survivor of sexual violence. I'm very involved in our business community here. My mom is Alzheimer's. Like she was my first entrepreneur that I ever met. I told you a little about that. And so, yeah, there's so much more than you can learn in a 10 or 15-minute conversation. So I love to say
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I encourage everyone who's part of this program, or if you even just happen to find this interview on YouTube and you want to know Alison more, connect with her. We're in a real world, we're real people. And I know that in this time that we're in now with the digital age of, global connection and social media, it can sometimes feel very plastic or inauthentic. Like, you don't know, like sometimes I get messages in my DMs and I'm like, is this a person or is this a bot? I don't know. Sometimes it's really hard to tell. So we're really about relationships and connecting and getting to know people and forming those bonds, because even if, right now it wasn't the right time for me to work with you, Alison, like down the road might be. So getting to know you now while I have the opportunity is a smart thing for me to do. So yeah, so thank you for sharing all of that and for kind of, pointing out the multiple layers that make up who we are. We're not just the work we're doing. We're so much more that we've brought in our experiences and our life and our family and friends and everything into what we do. So
Yeah. And it's like we're never just hiring like words on a website. We're hiring a person. And this is kind of why I like to say, like, I didn't have a website when I started. And like, yes, a website is a great tool, but if that's the thing that's stopping you from putting yourself out there, then like you're still hiding. Like people want to hire you, not your website. And often I have clients that hire me, and like one of the first things they want to focus on is their website. I'm like, great, what'd you think about my website? And they're like, oh, I never looked at it. I actually don't even have a website right now too, for various reasons. It's kind of under construction, and it points to an event that I ran back in February. So if you go to profitcoach.com, you're going to be like, where's Alison's website? It's like, yeah, I don't have one right now. I'm okay with that. It's a relationship game, people, and I like to say sales is a process. It's not an event. So it's like, it's just, we have to spend the time to get to know each other,
Yes, absolutely. Right. And yeah, we can't get hung up on those small little minute details that suck our energy and attention and hold us back from doing what we love. It's like, oh, I'm not good at that, or I don't have a logo, or I don't have a website, or whatever, can really detract from staying on the path and doing what it is that we're here to do. But I love that, I love that you're so heart-centered and faith-based and open about that, and that you focus on something that so many people are afraid of, which is sales and pricing. And we talked a little bit about that at the beginning, like, the fear of pricing your value and what you're worth wholly. So how did you kind of, you told us a little bit about the story about how you came through the your HR experience and your coaching experience to come to that. But the breakthroughs that people make with sales and pricing must be pretty profound as you work with them, right?
Yeah, so the program I got certified through as a coach is called the Institute for Professional Excellence in Coaching, and they use a framework called energy leadership. And are you familiar with the IPEC program?
I'm not.
No. So part of why I went to that program, and I promise I will answer your question, but I feel like the context is helpful. I went through this program because, remember, I wanted to get into the executive coaching space. And also HR people love assessment tools. We just can't help ourselves. It's like easier to, talk to people in groups with like common characteristics. And when we have common language, it kind of is helpful. But I've always felt a lot of times those assessment tools are not very helpful. They just give you a label that's like, oh, I'm a high I in my disc profile, or, I'm an INFT or whatever you are, right? It's like in Myers-Briggs. There's all the things. Now there's Enneagram, right? There's all of these different tools that are like, this is your personality, really, in all respects. It's really kind of what it looks at. And the IPEC program has an assessment tool called the Energy Leadership Index. And why I love it is an attitudinal assessment, and it is designed to shift. And it shows you what your attitude is in the day to day when everything's going along just fine. And then it also shows you what your energy or your attitude is in stress, like what your tendencies are. And really, that is a thing that as we work on ourselves in personal growth and development, that changes. And the framework actually gives you a roadmap on how to change. And it doesn't say that like, so there's 7 different levels. So level 1 is victim level thinking, right? It's like, oh, we're powerless. We don't have any agency or choice in a matter. Level 2 is this place of like conflict level thinking. And so some of the feelings that come with that could be like, anger is the core one that they use on some of the model, but really it's like for women, it tends to be frustration, resentment. Those 2 are the ones that really like ring true for a lot of people, especially in the wellness space, right? I don't think anger is really prevalent in those spaces. And then you go into like rationalizing, and then like service or being concerned, which is like, that's the compassion, the helper, which is great. And all of these levels have interplays. So if you're a giver and you have a lot of that level 4 energy, you could overgive, and then you flip into victim level thinking, or you flip into that conflict level thinking of like, you don't like, when's your turn, or people aren't taking the advice that you're giving them, right? That can kind of create that like interesting interplay. And the thing is that's all tied to hormonal responses. That's why I love this framework, because it's not like woo woo. It's literally like when you're having a level 1 experience, you're probably releasing cortisol in your body, and cortisol serves us, right? You need cortisol in your body because we're this like beautifully designed being that has all the things we need inside of us. And then our job is to manage it all properly, right? And that's where you help the wellness people come into play. And so the reason I'm telling you about this, and there's other levels as well, there's 7 of them, and I kind of stopped at level 4 because I find a lot of times the helping profession has a lot of that. And then there's this like just bouncing back and forth in these levels. And it's not about judging. It's like just knowing and understanding this information can be very, very powerful, because then you realize that you might tend to move into this level 1 or level 2 place. And there's 6 other levels that you could choose from, right? And conscious awareness is the thing. And we often hear about like, change your consciousness, shift your thoughts. And it's like, that's out there. I need a tangible tool, especially when you're in stress, right? And so this is like a tangible tool that literally they teach the coaches that go through this program how to leverage it in health coaching, in relationship coaching, in corporate coaching. There's like all these different ways that they teach you that you can utilize this framework. So a lot of times people hire me for sales coaching, and I always start off with the Energy Leadership Index and assessment, and I do a 2-hour debrief. And literally people have like walked away from that very first 2-hour session saying, I don't like, if we did nothing else, I feel like I got my entire investment worth. And often we flip into like life coaching because you've got to unpack all this other stuff. Right. To be able to understand, like you might be projecting your own stuff onto your clients, right? You might be, when you get into a sales conversation, it could be that you're afraid of rejection, right? And so understanding and having the language of the energy leadership framework it helps you not only with your own stuff, but then it also helps you be able to use that framework, even if you're not fully trained in it, to identify how is that prospect maybe showing up? How is that potential client maybe showing up? And noticing and recognizing, do you tend to attract clients who have a level that is draining you?
Yeah.
Right. And when you have this framework to look through that lens of like, I'm so tired of doing this work that I love, because you're like, maybe you're working with energy vampires and you don't need to. Right. And so what is it about like, oh, well, the people that like I want to work with can't afford me? It's like, well, how true is that? What
Yeah.
assumptions are you making, right? And
Yeah.
so when you can ask, when you can start asking yourself, and that's what I love to do. It's like a lot of my clients, they don't need me after they're done working with me. They're like, this was everything I didn't know I needed, and getting people to really see how to ask themselves the questions about the value of the work they do. One of my signature talks that I give, and I plan on talking about within the
I am the brand.
yeah, I'm the brand. I was going to say I am branding, and I was like, no, that's not right. Within I am the brand is my signature talk called Profit with Soul: How to Set and Talk About Your Prices with Confidence and Courage. And it is more about that, like internalizing and understanding everything that you've done up to this point in your life ought to be brought into your pricing. And when I hear people say like, oh, I'm new, it's like, no, you're not new. Like maybe this is the first time you're trying to like put a price tag on this thing and go and do it, but you've probably been serving people your whole life, right? And I
Right.
think because I have the background of human resources and my job was literally to understand and read a resume and then translate how that set of skills might apply to this job that this person's applying for, or help people match their resume to the career direction that they want to go into. And then also pricing out jobs and doing things like that. That over the years, I've seen so many ties to all of the experiences that I've collected. And that's just gotten more and more as I go. And so as I've grown in my own business and seen more impact and influence on like how this work affects people, then I begin to look at my own pricing model. And there's so many business coaches and consultants out there that I think they're very much they'll teach you the tools, but then they'll leave you to yourself to do the work. And I think that that's really hard and not always very serving of the person, because like we all kind of know what we're supposed to be doing, but sometimes we need a person to help us verbally process it. So
Yeah.
usually my clients are verbal processors. They're probably neurodivergent. Like, when people are like, it's easy,
Yeah.
you just do these things, they shut down. Like that's,
Right.
so that's I mean, I do have an acronym for the KISS approach in the corporate world. It's keep it simple, stupid, but I like to say keep it soulfully simple.
Nice.
Right? It's like when it's aligned with your values and your skills and it feels joyful, like you're gonna be okay. And you got to trust the timing. There's so much faith in being a business owner.
Absolutely.
It's just,
For sure.
it's true. And there's a lot of healing too, because there's nowhere to hide. You don't have a boss to blame. You have no coworkers to blame, right? Or like you're the one in charge, and that's scary.
Absolutely.
Spoiler
Yeah.
alert, it's scary, everybody. It's okay to be afraid, and it's
Right.
vulnerable. It's all of the things that is messy,
Yes. And that's why we need one another. That's why we need community. That's why we're doing I Am the Brand Business Accelerator. It's why we're coming together and creating networking and building community. And I foresee these relationships that we're building here as being, this is just the start of lifelong relationships where we're going to collaborate, network, do joint ventures together in the future, because this is all about like authentic, true leadership and real business owners coming together to maximize their business, So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for today and let people get to know you more, get in touch with you. So I want to let you guys know, if you have not joined I Am the Brand yet, it's very simple. Just go to iamthebrand.info. Alison actually has a promo code that you can come in for just $111. for all of the content, 38 different experts in there. And it's her last name, Proffit, which you see on the screen if you're watching, but we'll have it in the description too. And I want to give you the last word, Alison. So just go ahead and close this out with, your encouraging thoughts, what you're looking forward to in the accelerator, and, whatever final things you have on your mind.
Oh my goodness. I think just like holding on as a business owner, right? We have to hold on and like hold on to our own identity and hold on to each other. And just remember that why you got into what you're doing. When you can stay really deeply rooted to that and not keep your eye on all the money that people say that you could make in your business, it's like you're losing sight of what matters the most. And that's why I say that joy is the best business strategy. I like to say that joy is the destination, your values are the coordinate points, and your faith and intuition is the GPS. So when you let that lead you, you will have an amazing journey.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your time with us today. And I hope all of you who are listening are as excited as I am to spend more time with you inside the container, Alison, because you clearly have a wealth of experience and knowledge that you're bringing, and just the right attitude and perspective to really support everyone in the I Am the Brand Business Accelerator. So we will see you all inside I Am the Brand. Hop over to iamthebrand.info, use the promo code Proffit to come in for $111. We're there from April 1st to June 30th live. So you can get all your questions answered, interact with us, get to know other people in there actively. So go ahead and jump in now, and we will see you all inside. Take care.
Can't wait. Bye-bye.
Lucky, lucky, lucky me.